Communist China said its pension fund has an 8 to 10 trillion RMB deficit, but its donation to foreign countries in these 4 years surpassed 6 trillion.
Tyranny is harsh. Communist China is beginning to levy personal property taxes.
On November 27th, Manzhouli in Inner Mongolia launched the second round of nucleic acid virus testing. Lining up the people indoors might cause cross-infections.
CCP tried to blame the pandemic on foreign countries. 190 passengers to China had identical virus testing data. On November 25th, when China conducted nucleic acid and antibody testing on the passengers of Russia's Ikoya airline flight E0429 from Moscow to Zhengzhou, all 190 passengers generated identical data on the blood serum antibody testing. Recently, many countries require nucleic acid testing results for entry, so falsified CCP-Virus testing results have become a new product in foreign countries. An Indian doctor and his assistants were arrested for selling fake nucleic acid reports. In addition, this July, the owner of a clinic in Bangladesh was also arrested for this.
据美国有线电视新闻网报道，今年7月份，孟加拉国也有一所医院的老板因为伪造新冠检测报告而被捕。据了解，他在被捕前一共伪造了高达6500份的新冠病毒虚假。
The CCP invited experts to blame the pandemic on others. On November 25th, the State Council's Joint Disease Prevention Task Force held a press conference on frozen food and food safety in winter times. Zhang Liubo, so far what we observed was infection caused by frozen food in the transportation step, that is, transportation and handling. We didn't find any infection caused by consuming the frozen food. Under this circumstance, I think we won't give up eating just because of the risks, and the risk is low so far. Of course, you should pay attention to a few issues. First, if the frozen food you bought is from online sales instead of official channels, you should disinfect the packaging surface.
当然呢，有几点还是应该要注意的。第一个，如果你买的不是正规渠道，是一些海淘的产品，那么这些食品包装的表面一定要做好消毒。
The health code will be integrated with bus tickets and the senior cards. This is a surveillance on everyone.
方式的同时，将进一步简化网上预约挂号、网上问诊等智能技术。另外，还将通过技术手段，争取把健康码和公交卡、老年卡等证件整合起来，最大限度方便老年人出行。
Liu Fushou, Chief Attorney of the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission. A series of illegal fundraising, illegal financial groups, and institutional risks to small and medium banks have been dealt with securely. The risks of internet financial services have dropped significantly. The number of P2P institutions has dropped from 5,000 at its peak to almost zero in mid-November this year.
In September 2008, 69-year-old Fu Daxing was sentenced to 2 years in jail for an unsuccessful armed robbery attempt. His motive was to get free housing and food in jail. At the age of 70, he had the first birthday celebration of his life in jail.
给他一起租了房子，买了水军，买了米，买了油啊，给他跑了3天，1分钱都是没收到。心想他有40块钱，没有路走怎么办呢？我快70岁了嘛，我们这些也在业务做了这些也是劳动的，让我放鸭子啊，进来山水马路啊，福建花木头啊。我为什么老的没人管呢？一天只给我1块6毛钱，我怎么生活？我就只有采取特别的方式，就是抢。这判处2年吧。 我也钱钱不宽钱嘛，没得什么，反正我就吃饭是么大的话，就是为了吃饭来的，必须要螃蟹，有螃蟹啊！你给我姑姑说吃一次生意啊。
An 80-year-old lady dug wild vegetables so that she could make some money to buy life-saving medicines for her spouse. Life was harsh for her because nobody provided support to her family or her grandchild.
CCP has ambitions to occupy the moon.
我说我们现在一个钓鱼岛，我们的祖先都在那儿生活过，但是我们没驻扎下来。从明朝开始，我们丧失了我们的海洋权利。我说宇宙就是个海洋，月亮就是钓鱼岛。我们现在能去，我们不去，将来的后人要怪我们的。别人去了，别人站下来了，你再想去都去不了。我就想象这一条路。
The 1st Zhongfeng Brigade of the CCP Rocket Force has conducted daily actual combat exercises in an attempt to deter and threaten the world.
官兵们快速穿戴防护服和防毒面具，奔赴站位，关闭车窗，撤收装备，按照预案迅速转换发射阵地。这次开展的实战实案化合成营对抗演练，昼夜不间断进行，考验的不仅仅是合成营合成训练的融合度，还要检验指挥员直面突发特情的应对能力和解决难题的判断力。据了解，这次融合式训练考核在火箭军部队已经成为常态。他们通过实训实抗练就导弹部队的合成能力，探索导弹部队合成力量训练的新模式，让导弹旅在实训实战中发挥更明显的作用，实现训考一体、训战一体，淬炼导弹旅整体作战能力。
CCP media say that China has entered the ranks of advanced nuclear power countries. Venezuela defied U.S. sanctions and resumed oil exports to China. The U.S. invited Mexico to join the Clean Network program and abandoned Huawei's 5G. Tsai Ing-wen said she will strive for continued support from the U.S. for Taiwan. Wang Yi met with the Speaker of the Korean Parliament Park Byung-soo in an attempt to rally neighboring countries against the righteous forces of the West. The U.S. spy plane is approaching China's sea areas. The Philippine Defense Minister said, if China and the U.S. go to war in the South China Sea, the Philippines will join the war. Huawei wants to repurchase the chip by selling Honor and changing the registered ID.
The world is reeling under the impact of the pandemic. The virus from Wuhan continues to claim lives globally. As governments across the world prepare for yet another wave of infections, Europe is bracing for a double whammy. While dealing with the Wuhan virus, it is also preparing to combat a new outbreak of bird flu. The highly pathogenic avian influenza, or H5N8, has set alarm bells ringing across European nations. It is circulating among wild and domestic birds. 300 cases have been reported in 30 days. The pace at which the infection has surprised many. There is fear that the crisis may soon turn global. In the United Kingdom, H5N8 cases have been reported in Cheshire, Devon, Gloucestershire and Hertfordshire. The risk of the flu in wild birds has been raised to the high category. The Chief Veterinary Officer for Wales has shared this message for all bird keepers in the country.
Hi there. This is a message for all keepers of birds. We're asking you to do everything you can to minimise contact between your flock and wild birds which may be carrying the avian influenza virus.
A state judge in Pennsylvania has temporarily stopped the state from further certifying the presidential election results and all down-ballot races. On Wednesday, local time, the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court issued the order in response to a legal suit brought by state Republicans. State officials appealed the order and said there is no conceivable justification for the lower court's issuance of such an order in this case. This comes as the state of Pennsylvania already certified Joe Biden as the winner of the presidential election on Tuesday. This case is separate from President Trump's federal lawsuits to undo Pennsylvania's certification.
Mr. Colbeck, Patrick Colbeck, an election challenger in Wayne County, Michigan. He signed a sworn affidavit charging Dominion voting machines were connected to the internet. Mr. Colbeck is also a former Michigan State Senator, and it's great to see you again. Patrick, the Attorney General, it sounds to me like straightforwardly trying to intimidate you.
Yeah, she should talk to my old Senate Majority Leader. I don't intimidate very well. Really, nobody's actually gone off and refuted the factual claims in my affidavit. And they said it's not credible. Well, I'll tell you, they've already admitted to the fact that they're connected to the internet. Chris Thomas, who is a former state elections director in Michigan, already admitted to the fact that these systems work, or some of the computers were connected to the internet. And I've already documented the fact that all these computers were connected to the computers that he said was already connected to the internet. So I'd love for them to get under some cross-examination and explain themselves.
Expert on voting machines and PSYOPs and cyber warfare himself, Colonel Phil Walgren, informed the Senate, the Pennsylvania Senate, that there is no transparency, as the previous witness in today's hearing had noted, as to how the voter information is processed. He said categorically, these systems are not what you've been told. They are connected to the internet and servers outside the United States. They're connected from top to the bottom in the middle. End of statement.
And so anybody who has ever heard of a hackers conference where they can break into a computer within seconds to go off and manipulate the data on that computer, that's a concern. You've broken the chain of custody and you've broken the integrity of the entire election when you allow people into the same computers that are counting all the votes.
Well, joining us tonight by phone on the pardon of General Michael Flynn is his defense attorney, Sidney Powell. Great American she is, and this has got to be a special day for you, Sidney, and certainly for the general and his family.
It is, Lou. Thank you. It's really bittersweet because if the justice system had worked properly, we would not have had to have gotten this pardon. But we certainly appreciate President Trump giving it to General Flynn because this has gone on far too long. We now know that Judge Sullivan was just a political ploy. He's made a political game out of all of this, and it's just one of the most egregious injustices I've witnessed in American history. I
am just so delighted the president pardoned the general. I'm delighted for the general, for you, for his family, but I'm delighted for America because at least somebody has stood up against this ignorant, politically corrupt federal judiciary, and in particular Emmett Sullivan. Your thoughts? Yes,
that was. Enough was enough. We had passed the point of proving that General Flynn was innocent. All of the evidence we've gotten since I came in the case shows that, and it was high time that he be exonerated of all these charges. It was truly a pardon of innocence.
Okay, we got Dr. Hatfield here for a reason. We're going to do some pandemic in a second. The touchstone of the show. I want to say something. America's Voice, Real America's Voice, got a great special by Dr. Gina Loudon. As soon as we're off the air at 7, stay right here. We're going to go right into it. They've got John Solomon, Kurt Schlichter, They've got Senator Marsha Blackburn, and of course, John Solomon, the great investigative reporter. This is Real America's Voice, hosted. It's an election special hosted by Dr. Gina Loudon, and they're getting into the details there. John Solomon's broken some of the most important stories about this entire time. Okay, West Exec Avenue. That is the street inside the compound of the White House. We're going to get an aerial tomorrow and show you. But you can see the Executive Office Building, the White House, the West Wing, and that little street, that little road that's between there is called West Exec. This is what the name of their firm was, just so the Chinese didn't get it. Hey, get it? We're like the White House guys, right? That's where they're selling. They're selling access. That's the whole point of the hard drive from hell. Remember, in the hard drive from hell, when we release this stuff, you come for the porn, but you stay for the compromise, right? You got Hunter doing, acts of depravity all over the place, right? But you stay for the compromise. And what's the compromise? The compromise is these guys taking cash money for dealing, for basically kowtowing to the Chinese Communist Party, the dirtiest companies there. Why? You got West Exec Avenue, right? And you got them all hooked up with it, Blinken and all these guys. And they got a history of emails back when they were in government of Tony Blinken taking meetings. They're pitching him, they're coming and taking meetings. He had to know, hey, are you far qualified? You signed up here? What am I doing? So I think you've got don't you have some breaking news, Jack?
Well, there's also something interesting in one of the emails. We're not going to get all into the dirt. We'll save that for the trial.
We got plenty of time.
We'll save that for the trial, Tony. But this is just a very telling one. Naomi Biden was asked to be part of something called the Boao Forum in China. The Chinese advertised this as the Chinese version of Davos for the world's elite. Now, she was invited to go there, I guess, in 2019, at which point she would have been, I think, 25 years old and a college student in law school. Why she suddenly became part of the global elite, I'll never know. But in saying that she couldn't go, she responds to a fellow saying, it is with great regret that I write to tell you that I will not be able to attend the Boao Forum. When I originally asked my grandfather if it would be okay to attend, he agreed and said it sounded like a great opportunity. In doing his due diligence, my pop asked his China experts and advisors to brief him on my attendance and how it may be perceived by the press and Chinese government. I think you and Tony Blinken discussed some of this on the phone last week. After he had all the information and upon the advice of his staff, my pop asked that I respectfully tell the Boao Forum that I would not, in fact, be able to attend. I guess sending your 25-year-old daughter over for a forum is bad form, but sending your son over to come back with garbage bags full of Chinese dirty money and attempting to sell out the country is all fine, huh, Tony?
I think the pop there, I believe the pop may be referring to our man Hunter.
Oh, yeah, she's referring to Hunter.
Yeah.
Now, it was,
he didn't have a problem.
Granddaddy's experts who gave the advice.
But he didn't have a problem bringing in the, remember, he was a new business guy. Hunter's not the brains of the operation, as is obvious. He's drinking what the client's drinking.
Hunter's
right?
Christopher Moltisanti, for any of those who like The Sopranos, and Tony is Joe.
God, making these boomer cultural references. Jack just
and guess what? Both Chris and Hunter happen to be what? Crackheads. Talk about a whole circle right there.
Yeah, that's irony.
We are here to let the world know that communism and the Communist Party are enemies of mankind, enemies of the heaven, and enemies of God. They are traitors to God. They are also the biggest enemies of fathers and mothers. As long as you are the child of a mother and father, you have to know that communism and socialism are your enemies. And at the time of Thanksgiving, you must know there's only one party in this world that represents a country and has raped that country. There is one party that tells you that you have a closer relationship with the party than with your parents. Everything belongs to the party. Everyone must listen to the party. They want to completely destroy the concept of father and mother, as well as destroy all gods in heaven. Because they want to replace gods, replace Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha. They want to replace Gaia, fight with heaven and mankind, and take joy in that. Our media has told all of mankind. In a very direct manner, we are here for the exact purpose of taking down communism, as well as taking down all hooliganism and demonism that don't believe in God. We must shift mankind back to the state where living people on earth show our deepest gratitude toward our parents and are forever grateful for the blessings and protection bestowed upon us by God. This is our oath of thanksgiving. We will not only use texts to show our gratitude, we have to use action. We will initiate a great action on this Thanksgiving. We will create a voice to represent God and all who believe in God. It will be called GTV America Cable Channel. We will rely on no one else but ourselves. We will build this channel together, the new generation of brothers and sisters, who has international knowledge and background, and have faith in God.
CDC predicts the U.S. coronavirus death toll could reach 321,000 by mid-December. South Korea's new COVID-19 cases exceed 500 for a second consecutive day. UK asked a regulator to assess AstraZeneca-Oxford vaccine amid questions. Thailand to sign COVID-19 vaccine agreement with Oxford AstraZeneca. China to impose temporary anti-dumping measures on Australian wine imports. Britain to curb Google and Facebook with tough competition rules. Foxconn to shift some Apple production to Vietnam to minimize China risk. Vietnam Airlines likely to make losses for up to $647 million this year.
Mama, are you okay over there? Your son is crying and missing you, and sees you in his dreams. You said take down the CCP, cause it's God's will, it's God's will. So I'm with you, and I'll see you when we end the CCP, yeah. So